Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Good to see everybody out this morning. I thought it was spring, but I guess Mother Nature had something else in mind, so everybody get your sweaters out for one more day, I suppose. Hey, Mike. We have several guests this morning. Stuart Foster from the Western Kentucky University is here. Stuart spoke to the county judge executives back at our fall conference, and I'm just going to yield the floor to Stuart at this time, and we have a request. And Stuart, I'll just yield the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Judge. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to be in front of you and speak with you. I have a couple handouts here that you might take a look at. I'm not sure I have one for everybody.
We can share.
We can share. That sounds good. A little bit of background, and I'll try to get to the point. And again, first, Judge Miller, I greatly appreciate your invitation to come and speak to the fiscal court. Asking for support for the Kentucky Mesonet Weather Station here in Marshall County. And I want to give you a little bit of background on this project. 2006, Western Kentucky University received earmarked funding, about $3 million over a period of 4 years, to build a network of automated weather and climate monitoring stations across the state. And we did that, and we were successful in putting stations out, developing all of the technology that goes with operating them. We've been collecting data here in Marshall County for a few years now, and as with a lot of projects that come with federal funding, there's money to build something, but no money to operate it. Okay, so we've been operating with the help of the university there. Western Kentucky University has funded our operating costs since we started. And as you all know, as you struggle with local budgets, state budget situation and such, universities suffered a number of cuts into higher education year after year, or every biennial budgets, I should say. And our administrations come down to the point and said, we just cannot continue to absorb all the operating costs of this program. Said if we're going to keep it, we're going to have to reach out and build some partnerships around the state and share some of the cost. We feel there's tremendous benefit to this program. Weather affects everybody, and I can't guarantee when spring's going to arrive and stay, but we can monitor conditions across the county or here in the county. That data goes directly to the National Weather Service office in Paducah, so it helps with their forecasting and probably more importantly with their severe weather situations. Otherwise, they have access to radar data, just like you see on TV, and that tells what's happening in the clouds, but it doesn't tell what's happening on the ground. And so the station here in Marshall County is located up in Draftonville on the property there at the high school, cross-country field. Is providing critical ground truth to tell the forecasters what's really happening down on the ground where people are, and helps with their decisions as to when they need to issue a warning in terms of severe thunderstorms and such. So it provides a critical aspect of public safety to all of your citizens in the county. It also is available to provide data for farmers and for anybody that's involved in weather-sensitive business, so that the idea is that data helps people to make better decisions in terms of managing their business and agricultural operations. So what we've been working through the County Judge Executive Association for well over a year, and have come to a point where we're asking for local governments to help identify $5,000 annually. And then Western Kentucky University will match that. So for the university, that means with more than 60 stations across the state, that's more than $300,000 a year. And we're asking $5,000 a year from the counties that have stations. Our hope is that in the future we'll get some traction in Frankfort, and we'll be able to also get some traction with federal agencies and so forth to help reduce the need for that local contribution. But at this time, we're in a pretty critical situation. We need your help. We feel like we provide a lot of value. And I'm here today, and I'm wearing my orange because I want you to know that we're here to build relationships, and we want to be able to work with you in terms of finding how can we provide better service, better information from that station here in Marshall County and other counties so that it provides even more benefit to you here locally. So I'm not from Washington, I'm not from Frankfort, I'm over in Bowling Green, but I'm here to work with communities all across the state, and I need your help.
Stuart, we have, I believe you said 60 stations around the Commonwealth.
Yeah, a little
so
bit more
that's,
than that.
in about half the counties. And our station has been here now for several years.
Several years. Our first station went in 2007. I'm not sure exactly when the station went in here. It may have been 08 or 09.
Yeah. And we talked about this, the Judges Association, and as an association, we feel like this is important, and that since we do have a station here in Marshall County, I would recommend that we partner with West Kentucky University on this program. Y'all have any questions of Stuart?
Is this something we'd look to put in the next budget, or?
Yeah, well, I don't know when they need the.
Yeah, it would be after
It'd be
July
After
1st.
July 1st, yeah.
I make a motion that we make a $5,000 annual contribution beginning, I guess, next fiscal year.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Stuart, I'll be in touch, or you be in touch with us, how we make the check and all that for December.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. I appreciate your support and look forward to working with you over the coming years.
Marty Johnson is here. We've been talking about trying to come up with some sort of interlocal agreement. Are we still working on that, Marty? Are we?
Yeah, and I thought we ought to at least kind of inform the court about where we are and think we've got at least a functional agreement on a temporary basis. We've got to move on it very quickly. We don't have anybody doing residential inspections in the city of Benton or the county right now. We've got to address that. We've got people who want to start building homes, and we've got people that have stopped building where they are till we can deal with this. So it's kind of critical for us, and I'd like to discuss that with the court this morning if we could.
Marty, would you mind coming up to the microphone, please? I'm sure people are gonna wanna hear you, and I don't know that they can hear you over there.
Okay.
Well, we're in the city, we're in kind of a dilemma. We don't have a building inspector. We are not in a position to hire one. There's just nobody out there to hire. We have discussed with Mr. Spears, and I think he was here previously, and said that he would be willing to accept the responsibility for residential inspections if he had somebody that was working under him that he felt comfortable with. And he's designated that person, but I think it's incumbent upon us to get together and come up with a temporary plan. You all are gonna be faced with the same responsibility. Jeff, I'm not sure exactly when the date is, but as I understand it, effective now, you all should be doing the inspections if we're gonna keep our
Expanded.
construction going on as planned. So I don't know how Calvert City Pickett figures in the mix. I'm not really sure about that. But I think we're all faced with the responsibility of having somebody on board to do these inspections. What we envision doing would a interlocal government agreement that would provide for the city to issue the permits on a temporary basis. We'll have a uniform application be applicable not only in the city of Benton, but in the county. There's a lot of basic information that the builder, the person that's gonna be building, will provide a copy of the plans, those kind of things. And then the city office over there, we just turn those over to the building inspector. And it would be the building inspector's responsibility then to complete the inspections that are required, and I think there's essentially 3 of them. Anything beyond residential, though, would fall in Mr. Spears' classifications solely, and we wouldn't be responsible for that. He's already doing those. So I think we're only just talking about residential, R1 homes, and duplexes. Anything beyond that, he goes into, he has a whole different level of inspection. And we would sit down and work out the fee that would be required, and we'd prorate that fee. We'd take a portion of it for administration on a temporary basis. The rest of it has to be paid to the inspector, as I understand it. But we would take care of all the administrative end of it on a temporary basis until we get beyond the point where we are. And I think your plans are eventually to have someone hired that would be, a county employee. And maybe we'd continue to contract with you all at that level with a different form of agreement. But at this stage, we don't know what else to do, and it's essential that we do something.
This is something we talked about for some time, and I'm still not clear as to the dates that we have to comply. Jeff, are you,
Well, there's not an official date. We're between our first and second reading, and that has satisfied them for the time being.
but it's something that has to be done. Of course, the ideal situation would be that if all the cities and the county together hired one inspector to take care of this situation. I have not talked with the mayor of Calvert, Mayor Lynn, about this. I don't know if Calvert has someone on board now to do that. I don't believe they do.
Well, I'm gonna speak out of school, but, I'm not gonna say just exactly what their arrangement is, because I don't really know. But, my new neighbor, Larry Mahaffey, is the state retired building inspector. And, he's got some grandkids he'd really rather play with than, do building inspection, but I believe that the city of Calvert's worked the deal out with them.
Is that right? Okay.
Like I say, I'm
Not sure.
that needs to be checked, but.
Okay.
We're moving rather aggressively on demolishing buildings over there right now, so.
Yeah.
You gotta have somebody that says that needs to be demolished before you do it, so. That's
But
my son.
I know we've had some, at least 2 or 3 come forward, I think, that are interested in that position. I think it's very important that we find someone that, this is gonna be I don't know if you'd call it a bureaucratic nightmare, but it's gonna be a significant change. And whoever's gonna do these inspections is gonna have to be able to do them. They're gonna get, they're gonna be, people are gonna push back a little bit, especially in the beginning. They're gonna have to be able to, stand their ground and make sure they follow these codes. If we could get these people that are interested, well, I know we've got at least 2 or 3 and
Got
get
one-
some interviews
Got
and talk to them.
Sure, I got a resume today, as a matter of fact, and I've had 2 other calls from people who have shown an interest, and I told them to get us a resume in because we need to
I think
sit
we
down
need
and
to move
start
quickly.
interviewing these people
I
as
think
quickly
we
as
need to move quickly
possible.
on talking to these folks and coming to a decision. I think we've been kind of batting things around a little bit, but we haven't been, we haven't had really enough information until, and I think maybe we do now to move forward. We know we're gonna eventually partner with, I think, with the city of Benton, and that'll give the inspector the knowledge of where he's going, what kind of volume he may be looking at as to, what he may be able to do with the county and the city. So I think we've got enough information to start interviewing and get somebody in place. I don't like the idea of doing this at all, actually. My position, I think we need to push back to the state, but I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. It hasn't worked so far, so.
Marty, does the city, I know you've got some buildings that are beginning construction now.
Yeah, we've got several that are stopped. they had to stop because we can't inspect them. And, I think there's probably at least 5 or 6 in the city that are people are planning to build and can't start until we get some kind of plan in place for an inspection of those properties.
Yeah, I know there's an apartment complex out on
Well, that's
Murray
outside
Highway.
the scope of what we're trying to
Is it?
deal with, yeah.
that comes under multi-dwelling.
Yeah, and it's an assisted living facility, and so there's an R2 inspection classification for it, and we're gonna have to hire an engineer to come in and help us with that one, but the city will take care of that, and that won't be something the county will have to deal with.
Marty, do you have any ideas on how we educate the public? I know some of the information we received the first time differed from the information we received the second time. You know, I don't know that people fully understand we're talking about moving load-bearing walls or adding porches. I mean, it's that specific in this new code that we're going to have to enforce. How would you?
As I understand that, if you're going to change the floor plan, in other words, expand out beyond the existing foundation, then there is gonna be a permit required. There's not much of an inspection that follows that, though, on those where you add on.
Right. You just have to
But-
pull a permit basically to.
Yeah, basically, they just need to know it's been done, and then there should be a plan. Most of the time, you don't even have architectural plans for something like adding a room on a house. But there would have to be some kind of basic information that would be supplied with that.
Okay.
And as I understand, Mr. Spears does not consider that to be one of the major inspections. But
Right.
if you're building a new house from scratch, starting with the foundation, there are about 5 different things they have to check. 2 of them are already being done by somebody else, that's the plumbing and electrical, but those have to be inspected. But the foundation, the footers in the ground, and when you tie the structure onto the foundation, those have to be inspected, and then when you put the roof on, that has to be inspected.
Could that information maybe appear on the city's website since the county's is still in development? Is that something that people could access? Could it be added on?
I'm sure we could add it. The situation we're gonna have a problem with is the people out in the county not knowing they've got to get a permit
Right.
to build, you know, and,
That's gonna be the process we're gonna have to go through to educate everyone.
and when they're told, but the problem is gonna be when they get ready to do their building and get their plumbing inspected and their electrical, if they haven't had the first phase of it, they're not gonna get the second phase. And see, that's what bothers me. I hate for somebody to end up spending a lot of money and getting up out of the ground and then find out, oh, I shouldn't have done that because I was supposed to have a permit now,
That's right.
you know. So it's gonna be a job for us to educate them at least. And why would you come to the city hall to get a permit to build out
Yeah.
Right.
between here and Hardin, you know? That's another problem. But I don't know how to address it other than to get us off the ground. We can help you all on the initial phase, and then we can go through this process of hiring somebody, setting up your own department, getting all that taken care of. It may take you all a year or so to get that done anyway, but you can't sit still. The city can't sit still and do nothing because we can't have people waiting 2 years
You don't
to
think
build.
Cat would wanna do these just as interim time period for you?
Yeah, he would, but he's a county employee. And I can't hire him unless you all agree, and we've got to have a joint, this interlocal government agreement for us to work together to collect the money and turn it over to the county and deal with it, so.
Jeff, I guess my concern is if we pass a second reading, that makes it an active ordinance.
Yeah.
So then everyone, just like Marty's saying, who's in the process of building, who from that point doesn't.
Well, I think that though, I think there's a provision with the original state statute that something that's in process.
We'd have to be, there'd have to be an implementation time, or
Yes.
the people
Yeah,
that was in
and
the midst
those-
of all this.
Those
you've gotta
things are in
be-
progress out in the county would be grandfathered in, but they're not grandfathered in Benton because we have it in place.
Right.
We just don't have an inspector to do our part of the job. He
We
don't
don't, I didn't
qualify.
think we need the second reading until we identified
Well,
an inspector.
that's true, but I think what Marty's asking for, correct me if I'm wrong, Marty, is our agreement that the city of county, it would be all right for the city to use our inspector until such time as we can all get together and get a permanent plan in place. This will be a temporary measure to allow those people who are under construction at this point or soon to start construction will have a avenue with which to go.
Which is fine with me, as long as my concern was if we had to have a second reading to move forward, would that then also bring us in at the county level before we've done any education for those residents? And if it won't, if we can move forward with the interlocal without actually having to have a second reading, I don't think that'll be.
I think what
I'll
he's
have to go
asking
back
is
and look at our
temporary.
draft,
Okay.
you know, because it's changed, I think,
Right,
twice
Yeah.
since we
exactly,
started.
The regulations have changed twice.
Yeah.
And all I think we have to do to make this work on a temporary basis, Mr. Spears is a contract employee. He is not an employee as per se of the fiscal court.
Is that right, or
So-
I thought that changed? Emily, it didn't?
He is an
We did.
employee, we
I thought
do-
we had to
we
do
pay
that.
him
Took him back
based-
on or
Based
something.
on the fees that he collects.
Yeah,
Yes.
So we,
but, I mean, I have no
But
problem
he's
with
not-
No, I don't
he-
either.
Whatever we
he's
need
an
to
employee,
do.
It's not contract labor, but his fees, his pay is based off of his
Fees.
fees.
Yeah, and that's where if he was just working for y'all on a contract basis, we wouldn't
could
have a problem.
contract
But
with you as
the-
well.
The state doesn't consider him that way.
Okay.
Y'all
now they
pro-
did up to a certain. point.
Yeah, that's just been recent.
Y'all
that
are
we changed
providing
that.
his liability insurance and errors and admissions,
Right.
all those things
Yep,
that
okay.
are essential for him to
Yes.
operate under. Well,
Yes.
for us, he's got, but he has it through his relationship with the
Right,
county.
Right, and that's
So
been-
we
yeah,
felt
that
like
was
if we were gonna
recent.
use him, we've got to have y'all's concurrence,
Okay.
and we've got to treat him as a county employee. So we
Okay.
don't want him to get in a position where he's inspected it and it's not valid.
Yes,
That's the situation we're in now. But if y'all, what I was thinking, and then if you all decide to move forward with it, on a temporary basis, we would have the ability to function on your behalf and on a temporary basis, at least until you all get your program in place.
Sure.
You know, we could issue the permits for you all, and we could include that as a part of the agreement. Jeff and I'm sure, can address that. It's just that we need to do something immediately as far as the city is concerned, and I don't know what else to do. We're in a dilemma. There's nobody out there that we could hire, you know, and nobody wants to work for the city on 2 or 3 inspections and go out and buy that kind of insurance that they're gonna have, and we're frustrated.
So we can move forward and allow the city to take care of what they need to without actually saying that the county is ready to start their side of it.
Well, at this point, I think we can go ahead and proceed
Okay,
that
then
way.
that's,
Yeah.
do you need a motion to that?
Yes,
effect?
we will.
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and sign an interlocal agreement, which would allow you all to go forward with your residential inspections.
Okay.
using our inspector, Cat?
Yeah.
Okay, a second.
I have a motion and a second that we allow the city of Benton to use Mr. Spears as their inspector until such time.
And we'll bring the interlocal government grant back to you all for review, and if there's things that we might need to tinker with, we will, but I think Jeff and I have done these before, so I think we can put one together that'll
Jeff,
be
bring us
satisfactory.
back something, that'd be great.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Oliver, Mike Oliver from the State Transportation Cabinet is here today for our rural secondary recommendations. Michael?
Thank you,
you've got the
Judge.
floor.
As in years past, it's my pleasure to come before the court and submit to you the recommendations for the rural secondary spending for 2014-2015 for Marshall County. I think I've given everybody a printout there, but the Marshall County tentative allocation for 2014-2015 is $1,523,576. We had an undistributed balance in the account left from last year of $178,959. That has to stay in Marshall County, so we're gonna add that back in. The first recommendation would be to maintain the state rural secondary mileage, which there's 130.012 miles at a cost of $3,500 per mile. It's $455,042. Minus county expenses leaves a balance for improvements of $1,243,631. The first recommendation would be to give the county some money. 15%, the county flex funds, 15% of $1,523,576 is $228,536. I think last year, I think y'all were in a 20% bracket,
We were.
and this year it's 15. Again, that's dictated out of Frankfurt. My recommendation would be to try to up that to last year's mark.
I've already called twice, so,
Okay.
we're not gonna get it changed this year.
Oh, okay.
We were wondering, several of the county judges, because we were not the only county
Right.
that went from 20 to 15. And we were wondering the rationale behind the decision.
Right.
And, everybody says, well, that came from up, a little higher up, so
Right.
I really didn't get a real answer, but, I understand. It cuts us almost 100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was 90 to 100 from last year,
Yes.
so, yeah, it's a pretty good cut, and one of my other counties got cut as well, so I know it's, I don't know the total rationale for it, but like you
Yeah.
said, everybody says it just upstairs, so.
Yep.
And the first paving recommendation, number 4 there, would be to pave Kentucky 2603, which is, we call it Tom Lane. I don't know what everybody else calls it, but Tom Lane from Kentucky 58 to Kentucky 408, a total of 5.074 miles at a cost of $406,000. Next recommendation is Kentucky 1712, which is Griggstown Road, from 782 to US 68, which is a total of 2.6 miles for a total of $221,000. And the last recommendation is Kentucky 1897, which is Olive Hamlet Road, from Kentucky 962 to Kentucky 408, a total of 4.553 miles for a total of $387,000. That takes care of the improvements, 12.2 miles of resurfacing for 1.2 million. On the back, I have noted where all these roads are at. I've also, it's a pretty busy map because I've also indicated where other construction will be going on this year in Marshall County. I guess starting at top left on the page, we've got a bridge replacement on 795, which, if you recall, we actually put that in the spending for, I think it was 2 years ago, so that job's paid for. We're working through some bat problems out there now. It's an environmental document for some bats. So as soon as that's done, we're looking at maybe May and June. We're gonna be taking care of that. Hopefully doing that when school's out. Then you've got Kentucky 1523 from Kentucky 95 to Kentucky 282. It's gonna be about $390,000. I've already got the contract in my office. Continuing to the right of the page, there's a US 62 bridge over Kentucky 282. The deck is in terrible shape. We're going to blast the deck off and pour a new deck. It's around $200,000. It has to be complete by June 30th, and that's already in my office as well. The contract is getting ready to get started. Near that area, US 641, from Red River Road to the overpass there, they're gonna pave that, $237,000. That contract's in my office as well, so it's ready to go. The Marshall County High School turn lanes, that contract is in my office as well, ready to go. It's 1.8 million was the contract price on it. They're in the process now of relocating all utilities. The utilities on the US 68 is clear. Their utility companies are finishing up on US 641 side. So once the utility companies are clear, we'll start construction, and it should take about 6 months to complete. Continuing down the page, the Kentucky 348 interchange, we're looking at letting it out to bid in September. So probably towards the end of the year, probably November, we'll see boots on the ground out there trying to get something done. Then you see Kentucky 1897. The next one down there, of course, the Kentucky Lake Bridge. small little project we've got going on out by the lake. 131 million is the contract price right now. According to the contract, they have to have traffic on it by November 15th of 2015. So it's gonna be a very aggressive schedule. We've got a lagoon bridge, what we call the lagoon bridge, out at Ken Lake now that we're looking at starting to pour decks, concrete deck on in May. It was about a $25 million project. It's moving along pretty well. US 641 interchange there at the crossroads, Kentucky 80 and US 641. We've got a contract actually starting out there today. They're going to turn that into a concrete intersection, and has to be done by June 30th at a cost of about $450,000. So they put up signs and they're starting today. We got a culvert on Jackson School Road, 2606. We paid for it a year or two ago. We just got to put it in. Then you up the page, you've got 2603, which is Tom Lane, and then 1712, which is Bridgetown. So a lot of work going on in Marshall County, hopefully this year. We've got some other stuff that'll be going on next year, but I just didn't put it on the page. So any questions? Yes, sir.
The removal or replacement of the deck on the bridge at the Lower Leak interchange at 62.
Yes,
How much do you say that's gonna be?
It is, the contract price right now is $191,000. And, the completion date has to be done by June 30th. So they should get started within the next couple of weeks and. Sure.
Beat to pieces.
Sorry?
So that the bridge gets beat to pieces.
It does, yeah, it gets a lot of Vulcan traffic over it and a lot of other traffic as well, so we tried to patch it for years and we're just tired of it, so.
Mike, you were talking about the beginning of the Egner's Ferry Bridge, over at Ken Lake. Did I understand you to say the completion date was 2015?
They have to have traffic on it by November 15th of 2015. They don't have to have all of the fishing jetties and the bike path. They don't have to have all that done until around summer of 2016. But we have to have traffic on it by November 15th of 2015.
That is an aggressive schedule. I talked with one of our craft unions, and they have signed a contract with the operating engineers, and they were negotiating with the laborers union out of Paducah. We were concerned that our local craftsmen might not get much work out of it, but it appears they are signing some contracts, so that's good news, but
Yeah, it's gonna be
seems like it's gonna be an aggressive contract to try to finish that in
It will.
a year and a half or, well, almost.
We've got our doubts, but anything can happen. They knew the completion date going into it. They put it in the bid. So hopefully they've got enough money in there to hire lots and lots of people, so.
Hope so. All right, any questions? Anybody? I'd entertain a motion to accept the rural secondary recommendations of Mr. Oliver.
Make that motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second, any discussion on the motion? None. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Judge.
Tina McCormick, Marshall County Public Health Department. T,
Good morning.
morning.
I'm just basically here to answer questions of the public health taxing district rate. The board voted to approve the 7.5 again this year, and I think you all have to have a vote as well on the floor from the fiscal court, so I'm here to answer any questions you might have about that. And also, we had given you all the appraisals for the Calvert City, and we wanted to maybe discuss that, if you have time to do that today, so.
I think I gave each of you copies of the appraisal of the Calvert building last week. We also shared those with our partners, which is the Marshall County Hospital and the Public Health Department. and the fiscal court partnered on that project. It was a little higher than we anticipated. We gave $125,000, I believe, for the property. And there has been some improvements made, and they appraised it at $150,000. And again, the hospital district and the public health department has stated that they have no use for that particular property and would like to see it sold or something, because right now the rent, I don't even know what the rent is, but it's being paid to the Marshall County Hospital. So we've kind of held off because we have not heard, the city of Calvert at one time said they might be interested in purchasing the building. Whether or not that's still a possibility, Commissioner Drew and I stated our thoughts about Calvert being left without medical care, because that's the only clinic that's operating in Calvert City, mainly with nurse practitioners, I believe, that, and the doctor comes maybe once a month,
I'm not sure how often.
once or twice a month, I think, that's what I understand, but anyway, if you'd want, I'll try to get a conversation going with the Calvert City Council to see if they are interested, or if the doctor would be interested in purchasing the building.
I would just like to ask that everyone that's involved, and make sure that the employees and the owners of the Calvert City Clinic are considered. The only conversation, to my knowledge, that they've had with anyone are these that take place here, and that's rather unnerving to hear that the place that you work for is gonna be sold out from underneath you. And I know that all the entities involved own this building, but at the same time, I think we have to consider that these are lives of people who have families, and I just hate to see these conversations taking place out in public when they've not been considered. It really bothers me that this is where we have to discuss it. I wish that these conversations, when it was talked about being sold, would have first been taken up with the owners of the building, and maybe it could have been resolved without scaring everybody to death, because that's what it's been for the last year that I know of, is employees being afraid that any day now somebody's gonna come in and put a for sale sign
Well, I
up for their
think we've
job.
given the owner ample opportunity to make at least an attempt to contact us to see whether or not he would be interested in purchasing the building. I have not heard from him. I don't know if
Well,
anybody else has.
it was my understanding that he first heard about it in the newspaper, and I
Well,
hate
that's
to.
given him a year, though, to make some kind of an inquiry.
I understand. I'm just saying, I hope that going forward, if it's everybody's intent to sell the building, that maybe there could be a meeting of everyone
Well,
involved.
there would have to be. I mean,
Yes, yeah.
all three entities are
Yeah.
gonna have to agree. Right
Right.
now, we've been a holdout for several months,
Right,
mainly because of our concern about healthcare in that area. But there still remains, the rent is being paid to one entity, the other two entities are getting nothing. So some kind of arrangement's
Right.
gonna have to be made.
and in fairness,
Whether or
I don't
not
even know
we
who you
sell
would
it or
call.
not.
You know, there's not even one person that really know. I had a hard time just myself tracking down information about it when I was first asked about it. Who owns it? Well, who makes the decisions? You know, if it's a group decision, then maybe that group should get together and discuss it with the people that are possibly not gonna have jobs anymore. And that way, this fear of whether or not tomorrow will be their last day or whatever will be resolved, and they won't have to go.
Well, I've
on.
only had contact with one person, and she's an employee there, and that's been months ago, and I told her, I said, well, you know, don't panic, we're not gonna go in and close the doors tomorrow, we're just looking at possibilities and options, but would like to hear from the doctor if he's interested in keeping the clinic open. And like I say, I'm not being critical, I'm just saying, I've not heard from anybody. Mayor and I talked about it, and Mayor said, and was not making any commitment, don't misunderstand me. He just said the council or Calvert City might be interested in purchasing the building. Didn't say they would or what they might be able to offer.
I've been approached by a couple of Calvert residents that, you know, mentioned that they have been able to walk to the, you know, to that location at times. And they're concerned that that would, you know, that would no longer be an option, so I know there's, and that hadn't been very many, but I mean, there's been 2 or 3 that's mentioned it, so. You know, there is some, I think, concern down there
Well, we,
in the city.
and in fairness to Marshall County Health Department, we opened a clinic there. We had nurse practitioners, we had RNs, we had staff there, and did not get the volume that we needed to operate a clinic.
May have just been that there was just a few people, I mean, there's still a few that are concerned.
Sure, and I understand that. One lady called me, and that's where she gets her primary care.
Yep.
And she had read something in the paper, this had been months ago, and I reassured her that, you know, nothing was gonna happen right away, but we had to start thinking about what we were gonna do. And, so I understand, she was in her 80s, and that's where she got her primary care. And, but then on the other side of that coin, you know, there are other doctors that say, well, you know, we don't have that luxury. You know, you hadn't provided us a building, you know, so there's 2 sides to every story, but I'm like Misty, I hope we could all get together and sit down with the clinic operation over there and talk about what their intentions are, and I'll try to set up a meeting along those lines. Back to, Tina, when are we proposing to take possession of the new building? We still looking at May?
We're looking at, furniture will be delivered on April the 28th. That is a definite date. That doesn't mean we get to move in that day. We are supposed to have the keys, occupancy, check-off punch list, that type of thing, by May 1st. We've got some time stipulations. The setup for furniture may take 1 to 2 weeks because there's so much. We've got the IT people. They're going to have at least 2 days. So 2 days meaning they unhook us because we're taking that equipment with us. We're out of business as soon as that happens, except for, you know, maybe packing, but that's about all. So then that will happen, and that, as soon as we can actually say that we're going to be there, they'll start that process. May 1st, I would hope would be that date, but, you know, we're still kind of trying to feel, they're getting ready to clean this week out there, a construction clean, so we'll have a better picture. We have hired a maintenance guy who's helping me to stay on top of things going on out there. He goes out there every day, goes through a checklist of his own to see that things are getting accomplished like we want them to be. And so it's been very helpful with me because being a woman, I'm not always know what to check for. So he's been very good about checking all that. So that's kind of moved us along a little better. I feel like that the guys are doing a great job out there. It's just a construction side, and so you have to make sure everything's covered.
The only question I had on the tax rate, Tina, was, originally that had been raised to pay for the building and everything, and I know they came down on that a little bit. Do you foresee them being able to reduce that again once you all are open, or do you foresee that tax rate staying as more of a operations type?
It will depend. Right now, we have no estimations on how much it's going to cost to even maintain the building.
Okay.
We put, you probably noticed in the paper, we put out some bids for janitorial because one person cannot take care of it. It's 24,000 square feet. We have 12,000 right now, and we've got a person that's on, our maintenance guy who's trying to cover it plus help me.
Sure.
So one person can't do that out there. I'm not sure that 2 can. That was the reason we went out for bids, hopefully to get a package so that we can have them come in and do that as a service in the evening, because you can't clean clinic when you're doing clinic. So
Okay.
it's kind of hard to tell at this point until we see how much it's going to cost to run it.
The board recommendation was to leave the rate at 7.5 per $100 valuation. Is that correct, Tim?
Yes, that's correct.
You heard the request. What's your pleasure? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. On our nuisance complaint, Troy English is here, landfill superintendent. I know you and the chairman went down to Gilbertsville yesterday. Sheriff has turned over the complaints. done his due diligence, turned it over to the board. The board now is giving, is it 30 days you normally give, Troy?
30 days is what we're gonna give the property owner. The letter's being prepared by Denny Knoll today. And then after 30 days, we'll reevaluate. Of the properties we looked at, the gray area in this whole situation, and Sheriff Byers and me have talked about this, some of the complaints say eyesore. What's the definition of eyesore? Some of them we thought needed just their yards cleaned up, trees cut, et cetera. Some of them need to be just completely took down. Our decision was that we was gonna do that with some of them, and some of them was gonna be cleaned up. And then we'll go back and look in 30 days at where we're at.
I
That's,
do have some prices. I got somebody turned in some prices this morning, that I'll pass on to you, but, that one deal that Chairman Newton was telling me about sounded like a real good deal if they'll do what they say for the amount of money.
yes, sir. Me and Sheriff Byers was talking at our last meeting, and me and Commissioner Drew talked yesterday about it. The place out on 68 was getting cleaned up. It was a modular home that they completely took down, and it was immaculate. I'd never seen anybody clean one like that before. I told Sheriff that I would find out that day who did it, and I did. He apparently works for the city of Paducah and McCracken County cleaning out modular homes or manufactured homes. He'd be one that you might want to look at. His name was Jeff Thompson. I've got his information. He brought in a roll-off box, and it was just unreal how clean this place was.
So we're moving in the right direction.
We're moving in the right direction, and I think that everybody will be happy with the direction we're going.
And we actually have two lists of properties. I know you all have the ones that requested the hearing. The
That-
second list,
Yeah, well, the hearings, when they request the hearings, Sheriff Byers presents it to us, and then we go out and inspect it, and then make a judgment call on what, just common sense, think what we think need to be done. Or the board, it's not me, but we're sending that out to the property owner, like I said, and we'll go from there.
do you foresee any cost in the properties that you all are dealing with? Do you see any that you think the county is going to have to clean up on their behalf, or do you think that the property owners will be, or is that something you'll need to look at?
The job that this property owner is facing is astronomical.
Right.
And for me to sit here and tell you that they can clean that in 30 days, they've got a big job.
Right, there's multiple. I guess my question
I don't
is,
think that it can get done in 30 days, just to be honest with you.
well, yeah, because I know that situation, but I guess my question is, what do you both feel like would be a priority? Because we have some funds allocated, so we have a list of properties that we had bids on, as well as making it available for Mr. Thompson to bid on. So we have some estimates on the ones that are not gonna be going through the process with you all, that are separate. So would you all recommend maybe moving forward on some of the ones that are already kind of at the state where they're ready to be addressed, with the budget that we have, which I think is $10,000, that's what we set aside? And then possibly look at maybe allocation of funding for that situation in the next budget cycle, or what would you recommend?
I really don't know how to answer that
Yeah.
question.
You think you'll just need
Commissioner Drew.
time to see how it,
I think you would let it play out on what we've
Okay.
got now, and then you can look at it and go, hey,
Now, the list you're talking about, Ms. Drew,
or the one,
are those the ones that said, look, y'all go ahead and do it, because we're not going
There's a
to.
No,
couple-
Actually, when you get down to old business, I've got those to
Oh,
present to you
okay.
guys
a
on that,
couple
yeah.
that said they would allow us to clean it up, send them a bill, and a
Just
couple
one.
that didn't respond, so then it's kind of on our plate anyway. The others
Yeah.
requested a hearing, so they went before,
Right.
and
so.
my question with this also, we give them 30 days, Judge, and we go back and reevaluate, and then we see some progress, or what's the next step, Jeff, if they don't do what they're
You
supposed
can
to?
either work with them or go ahead and do what you're gonna do. You don't have to go back through the process.
Well, we want to work with everybody.
Right.
You know,
I
that,
mean, if you see that.
If they're trying.
if they're trying,
Right,
that,
you can keep bumping it out.
Okay.
As long as they're, you know. they're
giving an
satisfied.
effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that being said, how long are we gonna be willing to do it? Cause I can give you an example, the old, Payless Drugs there in Possum, right? It took them 4 years to get that cleaned up.
That'll be based
And I
on
mean,
case
is
by
that,
case.
is that
No,
reasonable?
no, I don't think so, Kev. I'm like you. I think
Yeah.
we need to say 60 days, 30, you know, whatever
Yeah.
we think's reasonable. But year, no, I don't think so.
How many total properties are you working with right
Oh, Sheriff Byers presented us with 5. Now, again, the refuge board does not see them till they become where they request a hearing. The rest of them, he's got right
now? Yeah, I've
there.
got 6 more that I'm
Oh.
fixing. So you got 5 that's requested hearing, 6 more that have.
And
Actually,
really,
those-
our property, excuse me,
Yeah,
Sheriff,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, Lloyd, actually, those 5 properties is one
Is
owner.
one owner. And
And all of
they
them
didn't
request
request a
hearings?
hearing, they just wanted an extension. They just wanted an extension to clean it up.
Yeah, you know.
You notice I keep saying property owner. But,
Dynamite comes in small packages, boys.
oh, there's no lie there.
Any other questions to Troy?
But
Yes,
not
sir,
a
Mr.
question, but I did find out, I'm trying to see if we had, what kind of options we have. If there's any of the trailers, if there's a house trailer that's structurally sound enough to move, it's gonna be torn down. If we can't find someone that'll tear it down in place. I found out that, Scott Chambers,
Gerald's.
Gerald's boy
Uh-huh,
and all, they can take that entire trailer as construction debris, as long as it doesn't have any furniture in it or any appliances in it.
Well,
And if it could
That's-
be moved, and of course, that
That's
may
the
be,
problem,
that may be
trying
as
to
much
move something.
expense, that may be as much expense moving it as tearing it down. But in the past, we've had a lot of trouble with getting them torn down partially and then cleaned up. But it sounds like y'all may have we may have found an option of someone that will really do a good job. If
Yes,
that's
sir.
true. But
And-
anyway, it's just something to keep in mind. If you could pull one, it would be a quick and easy way to get rid of a bad.
I'm like Troy, I was impressed at the cleanup on that one on
That's
68
good.
Patterson
it was
Ferry.
Find somebody
astronomical.
that'll do
And,
I mean, the ground, you can't even tell the trailer was even there.
and like Mr. Chambers told you, a lot of these properties, like even a home, if we remove the appliances, the furniture, it can be buried on site. You hadn't got to haul the debris out. We can dig a hole and put it right there. That's cost saving.
Thank you for what you all have done on this. I
Well,
appreciate it.
thank y'all for letting me come today.
All right, thanks, Troy. Mr. Larry?
Yes, sir, I have a request from the court. Russell, I talked to Russell York yesterday, and the road department has purchased a new tire changer. And their old tire changer, he has agreed to give it to the Parks Department if it's okay with the court. I'm not sure if you have to have a transfer of that or what we have to do, so I thought I'd present that to the court today. But Russell was in agreement that he didn't mind us having it. It would suit us perfect for the size vehicles we have. He needed the bigger one, but we'd like to take that if we could, and just wanted approval from the court.
I make a motion, allow them to use it, Judge.
We have a motion that we allow a transfer of the tire changer from the road department to the parks department. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Anyone else here to address the court? All right, let's move into correspondence. We have a letter. I think I contacted each member of the court to give you an opportunity to be thinking about this over the weekend. Did we put letters in everybody's box? All right, did I just tell y'all?
I didn't see him.
Okay, dear Judge Miller, this letter is to formally request a variance from the operating hours for Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway for the event we have scheduled for Saturday, April the 26th. This event will be a UMP sanctioned race paying $10,000 to the winner of the 40-lap main event. As there are no other high-stakes races scheduled this weekend, we expect a larger than usual number of competitors to enter. The more cars we have, the more time it takes to run our program. Instead of the usual 5-hour time limit from 6:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m., we would request an additional 1 hour and 30 minutes for this event. Our preference would be to start at 5:30 p.m. and have until midnight to finish. We will strive to complete this and every other event in the most expeditious manner possible, not only to be compliant with fiscal court stipulated hours of operation, but also we believe that this is in the best business practice for us and of greatest benefit to our competitors and the race fans who pay to see the races. But we wish to avoid the necessity of halting this event prior to its natural conclusion and therefore request this variance. Thanks to you and the fiscal court for your encouragement of our business venture. This is from David Green, the Director of Communications for the Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway. I'm not sure, I wish Troy was still here because he races a UTM event. That's one of the biggies, isn't it,
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, he said it's one of the larger purses that'd be paid out.
Yeah, yeah. So, they had their first race last Friday night. It's my understanding they finished before, our time limit that we placed upon them.
Shortly after 10:30 is whenever it ended.
Is that right?
Yep.
So they were an hour ahead of schedule. So that's good. They did ask us when we listened to their proposal if we would consider variances for major events like this. And they also talked about another big one, and I can't remember, Lucas Oil, I believe is a big event they were trying to get, didn't know if they were gonna be able to. But apparently this is a big event, and they have asked for the variance for your consideration. So what's your pleasure?
Is it possible, Judge, are they asking for an hour and a half? Is that what you said?
Yeah, they're asking, normally their time that we set was 6:30 to 11:30. They're asking to begin at 5:30, which is an hour earlier, and run a half hour later, which would be midnight, stopping time. Now, like they said, they hope that it won't even take that long. However, they don't know how many cars they're gonna have. A lot of variances there. But that's what they're asking for from 5:30, I'm sorry, until midnight for this one night event, which is Saturday, April the 26th. Don't everybody speak at once?
Do we have a vote in this issue?
Well, the statute says that the county judge will set the hours. And he can obviously take input from you all or whoever he wants and get it.
I don't have any, I mean, that's fine with me, Judge, what they're requesting. I don't have an issue, and I'll vote yes if I have the vote, but if I have a vote, I vote yes. Make a motion, we allow that.
Second.
Well, we have a motion and a second to allow the variance for the UMP, I'm trying to say this right, UMP sanctioned event on the 26th of April at the Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway. Any discussion on the motion?
None.
I
Hearing none,
just
oh,
have something, Judge. Do you think in the future, maybe we could ask that if it would be possible for them to schedule a little earlier in the afternoon rather than requesting to go later than the 11:30? Because I know that is a very sore subject for the folks that have to listen to that late. So if we let them know now, do you think maybe they could let racers know coming maybe for Lucas Oil that if they need that hour and a half, that maybe 5 o'clock would be something? I'm assuming you all probably.
I would agree with that.
Now, that would be fine with me. The only problem I could see they might have, if it was a Friday event, getting their fans there.
I don't think they have a permit to race on Friday,
No,
do they?
it's on Saturday.
only.
It's on Saturday?
Yes,
Saturday
Saturday.
only.
Okay, that's right, Paducah runs on Friday.
Friday
Mm-hmm.
night,
Okay.
So I think maybe if
Yeah,
they knew
that
ahead of
would-
time,
if we
maybe
knew
that
ahead
might
of time,
prevent
yeah.
any,
I'll sure bring that up.
okay.
And I feel like, from what I seen this weekend, I think they're gonna make every effort to attempt to end at those times. I mean, I think they're, of course, you know, a larger race, maybe it might spill over, but I think they'll make every effort to end before 11:30, even
On
with
a
this
regular
race
night.
coming up, I think they will. 'Cause they, like I said, they did a fantastic job. Like I said, I know when they started their hot laps, when they started their
So
time
they
trials.
they must have
and
done a
when they
pretty good
ended the
job if
race.
they got through like that.
They did.
They had four, I know they had four divisions.
Well, I think the key is
Lot of
starting
people
on time and finishing on time.
Yep.
Pretty
I
good
mean,
crowd.
you know, they drug around, the old owners would drag around and they
If
would
you're
get
not ready
late
to race,
starts
you
and
don't go.
everything else. And
Yeah,
Okay.
they have the track prepared well before the cars even get there, you know, whereas beforehand, they would have the cars help prepare the track.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, from the Kentucky State Fair, I'm specifically mailing you to encourage your county to consider participating in the 2014 Kentucky State Fair Pride of the Counties exhibit. And I can use your assistance to spread the word and encourage your Chamber of Commerce, Tourism Commission, local civic clubs, or even your city or county governments to consider participating. Each year, Kentuckians involved in tourism and economic development join together to take advantage of a unique opportunity showcasing their community to the more than 600,000 visitors to the Kentucky State Fair. We would like to invite you to participate in this creative promotional event, Pride of the Counties of the Commonwealth, August the 14th through the 24th. There is a cost associated with this. I don't know exactly what it is, but our tourism group, I haven't talked to Randy. Our fair board may be interested in this. Mel, I don't know. But this is something they do every year called Pride of the Counties, and you get a booth. I think there is for a certain size, it's a certain amount, and it varies. But we'll try to get that information if anybody is interested. All right, let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the April 1st, 2014 meeting of the fiscal court. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of the meeting?
Have none.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, I'm
Sorry. That's all right.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Get all that of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad on time. Motion carries. All right, watershed issue, Jeff, have we come any,
Yes, I have a draft and I have made some changes to it. And I'm gonna let the board representative, watershed board review that, and then I'll have it for you. I'll have it for you to review prior to the next meeting to consider whether or not you wanna have a first reading on that day.
okay.
I will share it with all well before the actual date.
All right, nuisance complaint. Sheriff, you've got something for us?
Yes, I've got 6 of the properties. One, this one here, Ms. Kiger, she is the one that has requested that the county clean up and send the bill to her. That's the only one that I've
Which
got the
address is
actual.
that?
Excuse me?
Which address is that?
That's the one at 63 Hall Drive. The rest of them, I've gotten one that they signed for the letter, but they didn't respond in any way. And the actual rest of them, as you can see, there's the letters that came back to me that no one signed for. And according to our county attorney, the attempt is all we've got to make at that point. And basically, they didn't ask for the hearing, so now it's, I think, up to the court to decide what direction y'all want to go with that. Jeff, I'll give those to you. I have my copy, so that's for y'all to have. And it's also got pictures attached to it of what the properties look like.
I think the two that are, house structures,
There's nobody living in these, are there, Kev?
Not that I'm aware of.
I wouldn't think so, but,
there's one on Gilbertsville Highway there, Judge, 3623. It's on the main road coming
Yeah.
in, and it's falling in on itself. I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
Yeah, there's a couple of them in there that's fallen in on itself.
yeah. Troy said that may be one of the ones that's cheaper for maybe the road department to do, just to go out and bury it. I met with a couple of folks that gave some bids, licensed, insured, and it's similar to what Mr. Thompson was doing, but I think maybe we ought to have a spec sheet or something for people to look at how the court wants this done, so that it's all uniform. They're pretty close, even though, we didn't have anything like that just by looking at them, but maybe a spec sheet on what would be expected, because some of them have the structure, and then they have campers, vehicles, garages, barns, you know, what the court would want in terms of, things being torn down and disposed of, I think will make those bids vary. And then on recouping the cost, I mean, are you basically tied to just filing a lien on the
I
property?
think that's about all we can do
Yeah,
if they're
you
not
can
even
sue 'em.
answering.
Can you force a sale of the property?
Yeah. Once you file your lien, you can force the sale of the property.
I mean, I'm like everybody else, I don't think we need to spend a ton of money, but we do have some money allocated. I would like just to see some enforcement of it, because I
Yeah,
think,
once you incur the cost, I need that data so that I can file the lien, and then we'll monitor it and start that process.
I hate to tell you all what the bids are. I also know what Mr. Thompson's bid is on some of the work. Maybe we could discuss that in closed session, so we don't give away anything.
I think we should, yeah, because
So
I
you all
know
know.
there's another, person that's talked to the board,
Mm-hmm.
about what they would particularly, but they're talking mainly about, manufactured homes.
Okay,
So we'll try to have a quick executive session to talk about that. But, Jeff, what did you say you wanted some specifications?
well, I just thought
or-
we might wanna spec
When
out
you-
exactly what we're asking them to
If you're gonna
do.
put it out for bids, you need a spec sheet on what you expect to be done.
Because some people may, you know, because I mean, a lot of them, you know, the yards, by the time you remove the structure, you still have, you know, a lot of debris that's still gonna make it unkept. Somebody's gonna have to do that. So are we asking these people to do that, or are we saying that as a county, you know, the road department or
Well,
somebody will do
if
that?
we're gonna be responsible, if the county's gonna, I don't wanna do part of it. If we're gonna do it, take our, track hole down there and bring it down and do it all ourselves. I'd rather do that than piecemeal it
Okay.
out.
And I think that's all they're asking for, is just what is the county wanting, and, so they kind of bid it to the best of their ability. I know
'Cause
Mr.
we've got a
Thompson
lot
did
of
the
work
same.
to do. I'm not trying to get, more work for us because, you know, it's beginning to start our construction season and we've got a lot of work to be done, so. Anything that if it's reasonable, that we could, farm
We-
out, but I'm like you, if they're gonna do it, clean it up, totally clean it up. And then put a lien on the property, that's all I know to do.
Well, you're really gonna have to do it case by case, aren't you? If there's a
Pretty much,
structure on the bill, on there that's actually still
Yeah.
good, a barn or
I
something.
mean, there's a lot may
you wouldn't
determine
wanna
what
tear it.
structure and what condition it is and all
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I
As
think-
to what your specs are.
There was only one yesterday that looked like anything could be salvageable. It's one of the ones, it's the house that's next to the mobile home that has a garage standing, and the garage seemed to be in good structural shape. But, you know, in that specific situation, you could spend the money to tear down the house, clean up the property, put a for sale sign, and then somebody gets a garage, and you know, I think it will be a good program once we get it going, but it's like you said, we can't dump a ton of money into it, you know, because, I mean, it's never ending. There's properties all over the county like this, but hopefully if we do a few, people will understand that there is some enforcement of it, and maybe it'll work out. But we do, at least to the amount that we've got set aside, the $10,000, maybe we can make some progress.
All right, anything else on the nuisance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, any other old business?
Judge, I'm sorry that Lloyd left, but I had a question, an article in his paper that I think needs to be cleared up. He stated in the article of the 26th of March, this court could be held accountable for age discrimination suit against us for cutting Mr. Kirk's pay in half and changing his job responsibilities. We did not do that. This court did not do that. I think that needs to be cleared up, because I'm asked daily why we did that and what we're going to do about it, and I don't know the answer. I didn't know Mr. Kirk was drawing unemployment until I found out he allegedly paid it back, and I don't have any answers about any of the questions being asked, except I do know that this court did not cut Mr. Kirk's pay, nor did we slash his job responsibilities. We did not do that. And I don't want to be held accountable for a vote that I didn't make, and I didn't make that vote. And if I was absent, if it was made in this court, I didn't see it happen. And I believe Emily Martin was present, Mr. Edwards and the sheriff and all of us. And I don't recall that happening.
We didn't change his, and I don't know the article you're talking about, but,
Well, here it is.
okay.
It's 26, and it
I'll
says,
read it.
Lloyd states in there that we could be held accountable for age discrimination suits. So I don't know if that's in the process already, have the suit been filed against us for that?
No, not to my
If-
knowledge. I
Well,
don't-
mine either, I don't know. But this court did not, and my presence did not, and I haven't missed a meeting, we did not vote to change Mr. Kirk's job pay or
Wait a
his
minute,
job
we cut
responsibility.
his pay from 2,000 to 1,000.
We didn't cut anything. This court cut nothing. Look at the records. There is no record in this court where that happened. And I don't lose my farm for age discrimination suit for a vote I did not make, and I didn't make that. I did not make that vote. I didn't hear a motion, I didn't second one, nor did I make a vote to that regard. And I want that clear, because I'm asked
Now,
every day.
you're saying that
Every
I was
day.
not asked to tell Mr. Kirk that we were gonna cut his pay from 2,000 to $1,000.
No. Yes, I'm saying that's true. We did not.
We asked,
wait a minute, what?
we asked you, based on the complaints that
So
we
let him be a
had,
ride-along.
to see if he would consider what he would want to do, because we were in a position where we needed to have people to fill those positions. And based on the information we were receiving from coworkers in the public, he was not able to perform those duties. So we said to you in closed session that day, can you find out if he would be willing to maybe just take a supervisory role and not have any physical duties associated with it? Because all three of us said we wanted to do what was best for Golden. And tell me if I'm speaking
All
out
I
of
said
turn.
was, I want to make, whatever happens, I don't want Golden Kirk to be harmed in any way. And the next thing I know,
We were told he
an
retired.
animal control officer, alleged animal control officer called me and said he had been hired, and I said, we did not hire you, and we've hired no one. So I don't know what happened, I don't know who said anything, except I know in this article is wrong, because this court did not vote to do any of that. And they're saying we could be held accountable for age discrimination suit, and I don't appreciate that, because I did not make that vote.
You'll have to take that up with Mr.
I didn't make that
Ford.
vote.
I don't know.
We just,
But-
I thought we agreed we wanted to see if Golden would be the supervisor of some animal control officers at a reduced rate of pay at $1,000 instead of $2,000.
Here's what was left at the meeting, my understanding. We were to be, it was a report, was to be brought back to us is what Golden wanted. We were gonna tailor our efforts around Mr. Kirk. The last thing, all three of us, and you were more adamant than anyone, that Mr. Kirk not be harmed in any way. That's what we said. Everybody in the room agreed, Mr. Kirk was not to be harmed in any way. And he's the loser in all this. None of us are. He's the loser. And I'm wondering
But
what
now,
we're
wait,
gonna do
wait
about
just a
that.
minute, but I went to Mr. Kirk and told him that he could be a ride-along or a supervisor, and we'd pay him $1,000 a month. That's a cut in pay, whether you want to say it's a cut or not.
But this
That's
court
a
didn't,
cut.
but this court didn't do
Well,
it.
wait a minute, you want to say I did it now?
I'm not saying who did it, I wasn't
we
with.
just-
I don't know what you're-
Mail may have done it,
Some-
I don't know who did it.
Well,
I don't
somehow
have a
that-
clue
guess
who
the
did
good
it.
fairy did it. I don't know,
I don't,
but
well, I don't know, except I know I didn't vote to cut his pay, and I would not vote to cut his pay.
we all said in that room that day that we would rather keep paying him the $2,000 a month, even though he couldn't do it, if
That's
he
not
wasn't
what was
willing
said.
to. What,
I thought we agreed to approach him and tell him that we want him to be a supervisor.
We
and
wanted to see what he wanted to
Reduce
do.
his pay to $1,000, and we'd use part of that pay to pay another animal control officer. I thought that's.
but it was
what
up to him. That's
It
what
was-
we
it
said.
was-
It was up to him if
But
he
we,
wanted to do
but
that.
Golden, we never got a report from Golden, what he wanted to do. Still
Our-
don't to this day.
our
I don't,
report
I to
was
this
that he
day don't know why
was
Golden Kirk
retiring.
left his employment. Why did he leave?
He told
Was
me
he
he
laid
didn't want
off?
to
Did he
supervise
retire?
them
Was he
boys.
fired?
That's
Did he quit?
exactly what he
Of course,
told
at
me.
Golden's age, everybody's a boy, but that's what he said. He said, I don't want to supervise them
He already
boys. Now,
was a
he told me
supervisor.
that.
He
told
already
me
was a
that.
supervisor
That was
anyway.
out in the county. They're not in a meeting or anything. He just saw me and said, I said, well, what are you doing? Well, no, I ain't gonna do nothing. I don't want to supervise them boys. He didn't say anything about his pay, but he did say he didn't want to supervise them boys.
Yeah.
But I do know that we were going to tailor our efforts around Mr. Kirk. Everybody agreed that Mr. Kirk was going to tell us what he wanted to do, and we would tailor our efforts around what he wanted. And now then, he's the one that's hurting this, not us, except for this. And I don't appreciate this at all. They're telling there that I cast a vote I didn't cast. We can't vote in executive session anyway, and we did not vote to do that. And we were waiting for a report to come back from Mr. Kirk, and we still to this day don't have one. And to this day, I can look everyone on that camera in this world and I tell them, I don't know why Mr. Kirk left his employment. Did he quit? Was he fired? Was he laid off? Did he retire? I don't have a clue.
Well, first of all, we paid no retirement in on Mr. Kirk, so he left our employ, okay? Now, I did what I thought y'all told me to do, is to set him down and ask him if he wanted to be a ride-along or a supervisor of the two people we were gonna hire. And his pay would be reduced by $1,000. Now, that's what I was told to do.
But instead of
And
coming
I
back and
did
saying he
that.
didn't want to do that, you just told us he retired. Remember that next
I
meeting?
just said he was gonna
Yeah, he
quit,
said he
you
retired,
see.
yeah. And
But you don't retire when you don't draw retirement.
Why?
We didn't
why
pay
would
any
he
in
not
on
draw? Why would he not draw retirement? See, I don't understand that either.
Because we didn't pay any in on him.
But why?
He never asked for it. We didn't, it was a contract employee. I mean, you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. But if he was eligible for retirement, how did we not pay retirement? I didn't know that was an option. I thought if it was 100 hours or more.
Because when he started,
He
it
had
was
to
a
pay.
contract
He
employee.
started as a contract employee, and the auditor suggested that we change him many, many years ago.
But I
And we did that,
maintained,
but
I
he
maintained
was at
everyone,
that
everyone
point
that
in a
sees this on MediaCom this week, I maintained to God and everybody else, I did not vote to cut Mr. Kirk's pay, would not vote to cut Mr. Kirk's pay, and never did. And I contest that article completely.
Take that up with him. I don't know. I'll have to read it, but,
I mean, when they start talking about suing
Right.
this entire court for age discrimination, that's pretty serious.
well, I hadn't
For
heard Mr.
votes that we
Kirk
did
say a
not
word
make.
about suing anybody. Have you?
Well, it's in that article. If you read that article, it says right in here that we're liable for an age discrimination suit. And that's wrong, because we did not vote to do that.
well, I mean, how do you handle that, Jeff? I mean, if you have concerns over someone's safety, is that age discrimination? Because that's all it was a conversation of how do we handle it. So it would,
Well, there's there's a whole lot of things that go into, an age discrimination case, and the fact that, that something like that's been said, I don't know what they're basing that on.
okay.
And at this point, I don't see that, I mean, if I thought that were a real issue, you'd have heard it from me a long time ago.
Okay.
So.
It's a
I'm
real
sorry if I'd heard
issue,
of that.
it's a
I don't
real
know
issue
why.
when the
I haven't
entire
read the
public
article
believes that
either.
we did that. It's a real issue with me when the entire public believes that we did that, and we
Well,
did not.
Right, and I
I
haven't
did
read the
not.
article.
I didn't
That's-
have anything to do with it. Maybe they did, but I did not
Oh.
vote to cut Mr. Kirk's pay.
I didn't realize that was
And
said in
would
the
not.
article. I had read it.
And would not cut his pay.
I just reported what I was told to report, that, and he said he didn't want to do it. So he told me. And, all right, any other old business? Let's go into new business. Ordinance 201402, second reading. This is an ordinance relating the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the county of Marshall has received additional funds. Now be it ordained by the fiscal court of Marshall County, Kentucky, that section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 2013-14 is amended. Increase the revenue of $1,150,730.71. The increases, excess fees of the clerk, $47,000 $47,000, bank tax, $25,000, excess fees, sheriff, $203,063, fireworks inspection, $25, animal shelter donation reimbursement, $337.12, spay neuter grant, $16.50, insurance reimbursement, or Jack Aurora Park, $8,000, insurance reimbursement, $16,189.54, Commonwealth of Kentucky Splash Pad grant, $70,000, Febco refund, $5,792.70, Goldberg Simpson refund, $5,000, emergency responder reimbursement, $493, Water District generator grant, $5,570.50, Arts Commission loan draw, $174,747.74, state funded paving projects, $275,000, truck license distribution, 13, CRA, the FY 13, $123,575, coal severance tax, $28,168.79, insurance reimbursement, $4,367, jail phone commissions, 12, water vision grant, $10,542.44, FEMA reimbursement, $9,861.80, water district generator grant, $111,346.43, total increased revenue of $1,150,730.71. Then in expenditures, sheriff's equipment, $125,000, GIS repairs, $16,189.54, animal shelter donation reimbursement, $1,000, animal shelter spay neuter, $1,650, water district generator grant, $116,916.93, special group contribution, $4,000, county parks department general supplies, $493, day use parks, TVA, $10,000, Aurora tourist park supplies, $8,000, Arts Commission draw on the loan, $174,747.74, state funded paving, $275, road department parts and repairs, $4,367, water vision grant, $10,542.44, nuisance ordinance, $10,000, general reserve, $216,080.27, road reserves, $164,743.79, jail reserves, $12,000, making a total increased expenditure of $1,150,730.71. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for government purposes, approved by the Marshall County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of March 2014. What is your pleasure on the second reading of ordinance 2014-02?
Motion to approve the budget amendment, Judge.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor of the motion say aye, all opposed, all approved, motion carries. Next is this is ordinance 214-03. This is the 2013 tax rates. This is an ordinance amending Marshall County Ordinance 2013-07 and relating to the adoption of the 2013 Marshall County tax rate. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court adopted the 2013-14 fiscal year budget on the 25th day of June 2013, now therefore it is ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Section 1, in accordance with KRS 68-245 through 68-249, there is levied for the year 2013 the general ad valorem tax per $100 valuation of all taxable property within the jurisdiction and for the general fund, and such additional tax rates for each special district or other fund as indicated. The West Marshall District tax, we're setting it at 7.5. Now, this is to coincide with the combination of the Harvey Brewers Fire Department and the E&O Fire Department, or fire taxing districts. And I guess now it's called the West Marshall Fire Department, and their rate is 7.5. So I guess that's just a housekeeping matter to clear this up. Is that
that's
what
right.
you're?
Yes, the property tax bills were sent out with the two separate taxing districts, Harvey Brewers and E&O. However, the tax rate ordinance that you all approved listed only West Marshall. So we are reverting that to reflect what the property tax bills were sent out to be and collected upon, so that those are equivalent.
In 14s, we'll have just West Marshall.
Correct.
And this should be, is that correct? Should be 13 or 14?
No, it should be 14.
That's
You're
what I'm
right.
thinking. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the second reading.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I'd like for each of you to sign that document, please.
While you're talking about that, just to let you know, we checked this morning, and not including today, of course, today's the last day when we turn it over to the county clerk, but to date, 97% collected.
97.
Very good.
So it went very well this year.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a little better than what are we going normally, 95?
95, 96, something like that. But yeah, 97%
That's
is
great.
pretty good.
Yeah, all right. Normally, we have annual bids for today, and since Russell is attending the National Association of County Road Supervisors and Engineers, we've delayed that till our next meeting of the court. So we will not have bid openings today. I do have a proclamation, and I don't think it's on your, I think we put that on here, did we, Mel? We do have a proclamation on the National Day of Prayer, whereas the 63rd observance of the National Day of Prayer will be held on Thursday, May 1st, with the theme, One Voice United in Prayer. It's based on Romans 15:6. A National Day of Prayer has been part of our county's heritage since it was declared by the First Continental Congress of 1775 and the United States Congress in 1952 approved a joint resolution setting aside a day each year to pray in our nation. And whereas the United States Congress, by public law 100-307 as amended, affirms that it is essential for us as a nation to pray, and directs the President of the United States to set aside and proclaim the first Thursday of May annually as a National Day of Prayer. And whereas leaders and citizens of our nation are afforded the privilege of prayer with the joy seeking divine guidance, strength, protection, and comfort from Almighty God, and recognizing the love of God, we, the citizens of Marshall County, Kentucky, treasure the freedom we have to gather in prayer, exercising our reliance on God's power in the face of present challenges and threats we face. And whereas we unite with fellow citizens to ask God for his blessings upon every individual in our county. Now therefore, as Marshall County Judge Executive, I do declare, and we're gonna do this May 1st?
Yes.
May 1st, 2014, as a day of prayer throughout the county of Marshall, Commonwealth of Kentucky, and ask your approval for this proclamation on our National Day of Prayer, May 1st, 2014.
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, our Marshall County Cooperative Extension Service has submitted their budget. They list their support staff salaries, their operating budget. The total extension budget for this year is set at $857,228. If you'd like to see their plan of work with 4-H, day camps, workshops, home demonstration supplies, those things, we have it available. I would recommend the acceptance of the cooperative extension budget.
Motion to accept, Judge.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I do have two, I believe, petitions for new roads. We, the undersigned, all being adjacent property owners of real estate located in Marshall County, by affixing their signatures on this petition, do hereby state their objective support for the following action. John Mason Drive, and a petition, that is a new road, and an existing road called James Martin Drive. We have a list of the residents. I would suggest we set this for a public hearing, the second meeting in May, because the first meeting will be taking bids, and it'll be a rather lengthy meeting. I'll appoint Josh Tubbs, Bobby Gifford, and Russell York to be our road viewers, to view these roads and give a report back to the court. Is that all right with everybody?
Agree.
All right, we'll set that for a public hearing in the second court meeting in May for John Mason Drive and James Martin Drive.
Mel, I'll need copies of those, please.
Next, we have the operating budget for the Gilbertsville Fire Protection District. This is their operating budget for 2014, 2015. They're anticipating revenues and receipts from property tax, state aid, and other to be $150,000. And their expenses with fireman supply and gear, gas and oil, insurance, utilities, maintenance. That also comes to $150,000, so it looks like they're gonna spend everything they take in. I would entertain a motion to accept the operating budget, Gilbertsville Fire Protection District.
Make motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I have the audit report of the Jonathan Water District. I have gone over it this morning. Does not seem to be anything that jumps out. They do have a KIA loan and a CFSB loan that was obtained in order to pay off another loan. They saved about $10,000 in interest by doing that. The KIA loan is payable monthly at a interest rate from 3/16 to 5/29. Their final maturity date is February the 1st, 2015 on the KIA loan. and February 6, 2018 for the CFSB loan. So they are making progress on paying down their debts. Looks like a clean audit. It's here for your review. I'd entertain a motion to accept the audit of the Jonathan Water District.
Make that motion, Judge.
We have a motion. Second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Our animal shelter report as of March. Animals in the pen, 22814 was 64. Animals brought in by wardens, 38. Animals brought in by citizens, 51. 89 total animals. We had 46 dogs, 14 cats, 24 puppies, and 5 kittens. We adopted 70, 1 animal's in foster care, 4 reclaimed, 8 euthanized, and animals in the pen as of the 31st day of March was 72. At adoption fees for the month of $1,570. Any questions on the animal shelter report? Entertain a motion to approve the report.
Motion to approve the report, Judge.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Donation account. Emily, you want to handle this? We have a animal shelter. They've set up a donation account. We have an account balance of $6,006.06, I believe. And that's, you set that up for a reason, didn't you?
Yeah, this is the report that I send to you all regarding the donation account fund that's held at the animal shelter. We received $4,188.95 in through donation and fees. Those fees, they collect our fees for us. They go into this account, and then when we deposit that money, I then turn around and write a check to the fiscal court that goes into our budget for the fees that they collected on our behalf. So, we distributed $11,071.87, for shelter supplies and the fees that they collected for us. So it leaves an ending account balance of $6,006.06. One of the major expenses in this is not an expense, it's a transfer. We opened up a new account to front the money for the Colorful Run that they're gonna have. They have that color run at the end of Family Week at the park. And so we allocated $5,000 of the donation account money to front any expenses that would be related to that run. So, following that run, those monies will be back transferred into this account again. So, this is not something that we normally necessarily review in court, but I don't know that it's a bad idea to either. It's a level of accountability.
All right. That's for your information. Encumbrance report?
For the quarter ending March 31st, 2014, I had a encumbrance balance of $25,188.76 for the general fund. The road fund had $50,677.68, and the jail fund $10,835.44 for a total encumbered balance of $86,701.58.
Any questions on the encumbrance report? Entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the encumbrance report.
I have a motion.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
My payroll accounts receivable report, the sheriff's office owes $331,413.08 as of March 31st.
Again, this is a normal operation that we do for the sheriff until his taxes come in. The settlement we make, December, Kev, somewhere along in there. So this is not just us, I think every sheriff in the state relies on the fiscal court to fund their office till the taxes come in. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the encumbrance report, or accounts receivable report?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Treasurer's report.
As of March 31st, the general fund had a book balance of $1,327,180.91. Road fund, $382,834.18. Jail fund, $138,683.21. A grant fund, $6,526.87. 911 fund, $154,804.12. Occupational tax administrator, $3,136,198.48. And the veterans van fund for $1,191.23, for a total reporting funds of $5,147,419.
All right, you've heard the treasurer's report. Any questions?
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion to
Subject to-
approve, subject to audit. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We have, our renewal on our drug-free workplace renewal affidavit. I think all of you are familiar with that. Let me just go ahead and read it. I'll try to be quickly. As a duly authorized agent of Marshall County Fiscal Court, I, Mike Miller, do hereby swear and affirm with this drug-free annual renewal affidavit that our company continues to abide by and comply with the provisions set forth in our initial drug-free workplace certification in accordance with 803 KAR 25280, dated 4/8/2011. This includes, but not limited to, the following: provide a copy of the drug-free workplace statement to each employee, post the statement at a prominent workplace, provide an alcohol and substance abuse education and awareness training program, notify employees of actions that will be taken against them for violations of the drug-free workplace program, provide alcohol and drug testing. The testing protocol includes breath alcohol testing and the 11-panel urine test. Provide confidential and timely services through the Employee Assistance Program. Maintain the drug-free workplace program in accordance with all applicable federal and state laws and regulations. Provide copies of documents with this renewal application if changes or amendments have been made to the material filed with the initial application. We certify and comply with the regulatory requirements of KAR 803 KAR 25-280. Attach a copy of the current workers' compensation certificate of insurance, and then we return the form to the workers' claims. What's your pleasure? If you want me to sign on your behalf.
Make a motion to approve continue to be, for drug-free workplace.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
This is a document that Gary Moberly used to handle on our behalf, but since he's passed, we needed to go ahead and get it done and not it slipped through the cracks.
Okay, you've all had an opportunity to review the bills.
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
Have a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and second. Did y'all want to talk about that this morning?
If we could, and I just had two small road updates. Chapel Lane widening, survey has been completed, and I think if Russell hasn't already, he'll be getting that to you for us to be able to move forward with the quitclaim deeds for those, residents. And then, I wanted to ask you all, I have got a resident that lives on Monroe Street, off 62 there in the Possum Trot area. And we've replaced a culvert, right next to her home, a larger culvert. And it's caused a lot of water to flow toward her property. All she's asking is that, she replaced her culvert to a larger size. The problem is, and you know, the county come in and kind of cover it up like we normally do. The problem is she's off the county right of way. Her culvert runs about 75 foot off the edge of the roadway. I don't know how far, because Russell's not here today. Off our right of way it is, but I'm wondering if there's any exception for that, if we've caused water to flow heavier to somebody's property, if there's ever an exception for that. And I don't know, I didn't know the answer. But that was the
Well,
question.
if it's a problem that we have caused, I think we'd be in our legal rights
That's
to
been our
correct the
practice, and
problem.
it's
We'd have to
certainly
look
within
at
the
it and
law.
see the
Okay.
extent of it.
Okay.
And we just need Russell to go out and look
Okay.
and give us a recommendation at
Okay.
the next meeting of the court.
He and I looked at it, before he left, but it was off the right of way, so he wasn't really sure,
Well, if we caused it, I think we're in our
Okay.
legal rights to
I just wanted to make
remedy
sure.
Exactly
any
right.
situation we've caused.
okay,
Judge Shane Carroll lives on Tubbs Road. He called and Russell Emmett put a new culvert under the street just above his driveway. And when it came that rain, I think Tater Day morning, it washed a lot of the gravel on his driveway into his lawn. And Russell and I went and looked at it, and I don't know, Russell said the culvert that was in there was concrete, but it was the same size, but Shane says it was stopped up mostly. So they put the new one in, he thinks what caused that. It's probably, Russell said taking about 5 minutes to rake the gravel out of the grass back up into the street, and they're gonna change the culvert. And I told him I wouldn't do that unless the court agreed, because we're gonna have to reach up in his lawn about 10 feet to get the gravel back. So it's whatever there's again, he's saying it's our fault, and if we hadn't changed the culvert, it wouldn't have happened. And so,
I think if it reasonably happened that way.
Right.
And Russell agrees, then I think it's the same type
I
situation.
told him I'd bring it before the court first.
so as
That's
long
always
as
a good
Russell
idea.
agrees,
And
okay.
Judge over in Mowers and Mark Ivy, Russell and them had gone there, it's been about 2 or 3 different times lately when we have a big rain. They have it's about 100 feet, and they have a shop, and it's washing the ditch goes under the road instead of going down the street in front of that business, and it's washing the gravel away, and Russell and them had to take probably a load each time it rains down there of dense grade and put back in that hole. And Russell and I have looked at it, and I've talked to this Mr. Ivy about it, and I think it'd be in the best interest of the county to put a culvert under that road, maybe 50 feet, because we're down there every time you look up, putting another load of gravel in that. Kind of like we did on Sled Creek, Russell talked about. And they put, I don't know, it was probably more than a load this last rain that washed away.
Well, if that's our right of way, and that's the,
But the only thing, the sewer, this guy that owns the property, he said, I can't afford to put 50, 75 feet of culvert in that ditch. But if he doesn't, the next time it rains, we're gonna go back down and fill it back up with gravel again. So it's up to the court what we wanna do. I told him I have to bring that before the court as well,
Well,
because
that's
we're,
all on the right of way,
yes.
correct?
well,
But
we
who's
do,
gonna pay, he says I can't buy the culvert. Everyone else pays their own culverts. He said I can't.
And it's
So
a culvert for his driveway?
it's for his shop. It's probably, it's longer than this room. And the gravel is washing away, so that's a lot of gravel each time it rains hard. Because it comes down a big hill in a valley and just takes it away.
so he has no sewer going into his shop.
No, sir, when you come to his lot, it just, right here's the ditch going in front of his shop, it just turns and goes under the road instead of going this way, because it's such a long span of just gravel, and it picks a ditch up again over here. Well, this washes away every time it rains, and Russell and them are down there every
And
little
you're
bit.
saying put the sewer line, or the sewer where?
I'm saying it would be in our best interest, and Russell, I think, agrees, that we put a culvert, we think we can get by maybe 50 feet in front of his shop in the road ditch on the right-of-way, because he's not gonna do it. So we're gonna spend $300 or $400 every time it comes a 2-inch rain, and we've already done it. We could have paid for 50 culverts already. with the rock.
Well,
is
and
what's
it's on
wrong.
our right of way.
It's on our right of way.
And I think, I mean, if it's in an effort to, not just to, it's not just being done to build a driveway for somebody. You're
No.
actually doing it to
Right.
maintain your
We're
roadway.
doing it to keep from spending money every
There's
time it
another
rains.
route for the water to go, but it's just not taking it.
It's overflowing.
It's
And I
overflowing.
think that's within your realm, that
But-
you can
but-
do that.
But the guy that owns the building, I already told him, I said, you would be responsible for the culverts to go in that ditch because it's your shop, your property. He said, I can't afford all that.
Well,
So-
if it were just, I mean, it's already there, and if it
Right.
were just to be, just for him to put a driveway in,
Right.
that would be a different ballgame. But I think
Now,
this
would he-
is part of it
I
maintaining.
just want
Is
the
he
court-
saying he can or just doesn't want to?
He says he can't. That's what he tells me, so I can't afford that. So, I think he knows the predicament that we're in. We're down there every time it comes, if
Right.
it comes a rain of an inch or more, we're down there putting rock in that ditch. It was washed this deep and, 4 or 5 feet wide in places and deeper in places. There's a lot of gravel when you take a stretch that long.
Now, is this not a paved road?
Now, well, the road is paved, but right off, immediately off the
Shoulder.
road, it's just gravel up to his shop. So right off the road where the ditch should be, there's not a ditch, there's no culvert, it just washes the gravel away. So I don't know what we want to do. I mean, it's our right of way and we go back and put the gravel on it. He won't buy a culvert. So do we stop putting gravel in or do we buy him a culvert and fix it one time and be finished?
Well, I think in order to protect your roadway, you're gonna have to keep putting gravel in.
Right.
So I think as an alternative, you can put a culvert in and save yourself that much money. And that's a very practical fix for
We
this
probably,
problem.
Russell will probably tell you we put as many dollars worth of rock in it the other day as the culverts would
Right.
cost. And it'll be washed away the next time it rains.
There's a heck of a pile of rock somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's all down on TVA.
Yeah, I think you can do that as a cost-saving measure to protect your roadway.
Well, I'll tell Russell then if that's the court doesn't have any
I don't have a
disagreement. I didn't want to do that on my own. That's all I had, Judge.
All right.
Yeah, you did.
I hate to drag it out, but we're gonna have to spec this stuff out or delay it.
Yeah.
Go to executive
All right.
session to talk about that.
Misty, you want the executive session?
Is that okay? Just for
Yeah,
a few minutes so
sure.
I can show y'all what
Yeah.
these are.
Just make the motion.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. We'll be in executive session. Call the court back into regular session. We are going to have a special meeting the 22nd at 3:30. It will be a budget workshop, but a meeting of the court. We're going to try to have some spec sheets for the cleanup of those properties that Kevin presented to us this morning, and probably advertise for bids. We want to make sure we do this properly, because we will be putting liens on property. Also, it was brought to my attention that our road superintendent has accumulated over 80 hours of comp time. We try to set the limit at 80 hours. It was recommended that we pay him 26 hours of comp time to get him down below, or pay him, no, 75 hours, right? What did we say?
Down
Get
to
him down.
75.
Down to 75, yeah, which would be 26 hours. That would bring him down to below our limit. So I need a motion to that effect.
Make that motion. Second.
I have a motion and second.
Sorry.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Josh has already left. We also discussed trying to get something at least temporarily in operation for our building inspector. Jeff and Marty and I will try to meet prior to that meeting and get with the mayors to see if something, at least on a temporary basis, could be worked out. I do have another person that showing an interest and have his resume there. So we'll try to have a group of resumes, and we may, we may, in fact, want to advertise for that.
I think that might be a good idea.
But for sure, the quicker we can move on this, because as the city attorney pointed out this morning, they are at a standstill on building for the city till something can be done. All right, any other business come before the court?
My quarterly report needs to be approved, and I think it just was stuck to the back of the treasurer's report there, maybe got missed
Oh,
off
I'm
the
sorry.
agenda. That's okay.
I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
quarterly report is in your packet, and
It reflects the same numbers as the March 31st treasurer's report as far as ending amount.
but we will need a motion to approve the treasurer's quarterly report.
Motion to approve the treasurer's quarterly report.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. If there's no other business, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Meeting's adjourned.